Walk in downstairs, make it pop, DJ gonna speak this up tonight. I'ma fight till we see the sunlight.
At some point in time, every YouTuber will post their last video. Most don't like to think about it, but the people you see on screen are just as human as you and I, and no one can keep doing the same thing forever. Some creators will do their best to make their departure a celebration, a final hurrah to all they've done, and maybe pass on the torch to someone else, to continue their legacy and pave one of their own. On the other hand, not all creators leave the platform in good regards. Many make inexcusable missteps along the way and answer for their misdeeds accordingly, pushed off their pedestal and left to their fandom as a muddied memory of who they used to be contrasted against what they've done. However, what these two circumstances have in common is closure. Whether your favorite creator moves on to brighter new horizons or descends to criminal behavior, at the very least, you have the answers to know where they've gone and have a proper close to their legacy. But not everything is so cut and dry. Many content creators slip away from the platform in silence, fade out of relevancy, or fall into indefinite hiatus, slowly forgotten as their fans move on to other creators. Every fandom has their forgotten gem. A creator once beloved who one day dropped off the face of the platform, going MIA across social media, and never being heard from again. And Animal Jam is no exception.
Animal Jam is a fandom well known for its childhood nostalgia and rise and fall in relevancy over the years. With such internet infamy comes a wide variety of influences, many of whom have gone inactive over the years. For a game like Animal Jam, it is easy to grow out of it. It is designed for children, and it is as simple as some creators growing up and leaving their childhoods behind them. This was the case for many of the fandom's creators early on. The first wave ambassadors who began to play the game as children. Very few creators from the era remain, most having grown up and moved on. As they moved on, new creators rose to take their places, and as they fell, people came to take their places as well, never quite living up to the legacy of the great Wave 1 Jambassadors as Animal Jam's relevancy began to fade and the player base dwindled. However, Animal Jam wouldn't stay out of the limelight forever. For some time, the fandom had a large drought of fresh content. But starting in 2023, the community began to look up. Animal Jam itself has begun to branch out to new ideas. Many failed, and some succeeded, but what was clear was that as the game stepped out of its comfort zone, so did its fandom. And soon, a creator would step onto the YouTube platform and change the Animal Jam community as we knew it. On March 6, 2023, Kijikon posted his first video on the platform. He didn't know it then, but this began to mark his place in the Animal Jam history, and with him, the Animal Jam fandom would change forever. Kijikon was a YouTube Animal Jam commentary creator who made his mark on the Animal Jam community for many years before slowly fading into obscurity. He was not the first of his kind, and many commentary creators stood high before him, and had a much longer history behind them. Amongst the likes of Lemon Puppy and Kick, Kijikon could have easily flown under the radar, but he didn't. He hit the ground running. According to Kijikon himself, he initially began to create content not to seek an audience or to make money, but playing a game he loved. Rather, he decided to make content because he was bored and spending much of his time sitting around, doom scrolling, decided to take up content creation as a means to pass the time. He already had enjoyed editing content through the means of making short music-based edits on TikTok, and thought he could enjoy making larger scale creations on YouTube, and he couldn't have been more right. Kijikon's first major success was posted on March 25th, 2023, a mere 19 days after he had stepped onto the platform, titled, "Why Don't People Like the New Jambassadors?" The video addressed the difference in public perception of the new wave ambassadors in comparison of the waves of old. The slow shift in perception of Animal Jam creators over time was something that lingered at the back of many people's minds, but no one had truly thought to address it before, so the video took off, grabbing the attention of the community overnight.
According to Kijikon, this took him by surprise and he was initially overwhelmed by all the sudden attention and felt pressured to perform and to continue making quality content for the community to enjoy. He was approached by the community's largest ever creator, Wisteria Moon, who was in the process of creating a group for up-and-coming Animal Jam Play Wild content creators, which would greatly help Kijikon in familiarizing himself with the community, meeting other creators, and extending his reach in other formative months as a content creator. During these first few months, Kijikon would continue to upload commentary videos, many of which would be quickly picked up by the algorithm, spreading across the community and growing his viewers rapidly. KijiCon would also begin live streaming, where he would invite friends and community members from the Discord server he had at the time, in order to spice up his content and keep the viewers entertained on live streams. From these streams, KijiCon would become close friends with a variety of people who would join him on them, which would lead to KijiCon to create a small streaming group named FriendSoup by one of the group's members, Stillpickle. Over time, this group would grow in size, and KijiCon would drift away from streaming with public community members and instead streaming more frequently alongside Soup members, as he deemed it to be both easier to organize and safer to do without the risk of ill-intentioned individuals joining the stream and sharing potentially harmful things. With the help of FriendSoup, KijiCon would experiment with his content over the spring and summer of 2023, continuing to make his commentary videos whilst also indulging in his love for editing and making Animal Jam music videos. These videos, also known as AJMVs, were an artifact of Animal Jam's peak in the 2010s that had been a big part of KijiCon's childhood, which led him to make some for himself, hoping to revive the video style. For some time, it seemed like everything would go smoothly for KijiCon, as they had been going without interruption or misstep for months. That was until June 22nd of the same year. That day, popular Animal Jam commentary creator Lemon Puppy had their account compromised and deleted. KijiCon stood amongst the most of Lemon's community in rallying the support for her and encouraging Animal Jam itself to take action to recover Lemon's account. Unfortunately, however, the very next day, KijiCon would find himself unable to access his own account. It was initially assumed that he had been compromised as well. Unfortunately for Lemon Puppy, she would go without access to her account for an extended period of time, but KijiCon was much more fortunate and regained access to his account on the 24th. Animal Jam had worked diligently with him, and through their investigations found it was very unlikely that his account was hacked. However, the circumstances around his account's issues were difficult to place. While KijiCon did successfully gain access to his account once again, this incident wouldn't likely leave his memory, and began an unfortunate trend of harassment on his page, which despite his public appearance began to wear on KijiCon behind the scenes. While on the surface, KijiCon continued to make content and shrug the haters aside. Under the surface, with a mixture of real-life stressors, failing school grades, and now internet harassment, it had begun to take its toll.
On August 31st, KijiCon would go on hiatus, initially intending to quit, but, as many do, would feel the allure of Animal Jam and come back to the game in private. He would go on later to say in public that he took this time to get his life on track, focusing on his schoolwork and his family matters, staying in contact and hanging out with FriendSoup behind the scenes, and solely planning a grand return for the end of the year. While technically KijiCon would return on November 28th, he wouldn't come back to the Animal Jam community until December 2nd, when he would host a large-scale Holidays giveaway to celebrate his return in the holiday season. KijiCon would use this giveaway to hand out hundreds, if not thousands, of gifts to the individuals who stuck around with him despite his previous departure, and would continue to post regularly after his return for years to come. In the new year, Animal Jam began to push their boundaries. They would experiment with new kinds of animals and features, bringing old players back and inviting a new generation of players to the online world. KijiCon would get back to streaming with FriendSoup and making commentary videos as he had before his hiatus. Many were simply happy that he was back, but unbeknownst to everyone, something was brewing. Something incredible. On February 15th, KijiCon would upload a video by the title, The Disturbing Underbelly of Animal Jam, in which he would take a much more mature approach to commentary, covering a variety of dark and mature topics unfortunately occurring under Animal Jam's surface. This includes predatory behavior, a topic which the Animal Jam community had been rallying for commentary creators to speak on for years. This would be KijiCon's first video to hit 20,000 views, then 30,000 views, and then 50,000 views. KijiCon had more eyes on him than ever before, and this time, with more experience under his belt, kept the ball rolling. His big break wouldn't come for him immediately, but as his channel grew, he continued to stream and make videos, which over time would grow in reach and perception. By his 19th birthday on May 10th, 2024, KijiCon's videos were regularly receiving over 10,000 views, and by October, that number had reached 20,000 with no sign of stopping. By the Halloween season, KijiCon had gathered over 15,000 subscribers. I mean, that on its own would have been impressive, especially for a game community that had so far past its prime. However, that was not all. KijiCon's sudden growth had sent a message to the Animal Jam community, a message that a new era was on its way, and with it, new creators began to rise. New commentary creators, among which were familiar names of FriendSoup Members, the Pink Otter, the one and only, and Dill Pickle, who had grown to sizable figures in the community over the span of just a few months. Their unique style of content creation not only spoke out to the Animal Jam community itself, but catching the eyes of nostalgic players of the old Animal Jam, alongside a large audience who had never heard of the game before. The lucky coinciding of the game's experimental features and the community's new wave of influencers resulted in what could only be described as a miracle. For the first time in nearly a decade, Animal Jam's player base was beginning to grow.
Since the mid-2010s up to this point, Animal Jam has been on the decline. It had an active community of players but couldn't hold a match to what it once was. But by the end of 2024, things were beginning to look very different. As it turns out, adding mythological creatures to the game was one of the best financial decisions that WildWorks, the company behind Animal Jam, could have made. What many had seen as an interesting change of pace had opened the gates for a whole new audience to enter the game. Many players previously interested in creature gacha games like Adopt Me found themselves testing the waters with Animal Jam. And when Animal Jam introduced Adventures in February of 2025, they opened the floodgates. New players began to enter the community in droves, old classic players begrudgingly joining as their old beloved features were implemented into Play Wild, new players trying out the game for the first time coming from other game fandoms, and players introduced through the new waves of creators. The community was lively as ever. For a while, the community was very overwhelmed. Animal Jam's servers, unused to the activity, struggled, and WildWorks scrambled to find a solution. But despite the pressure, they would pull through, and by late 2025, the Animal Jam community was larger than it had ever been. Modern creators like KijiCon pulling in tens of thousands of subscribers with no sign of stopping. By 2027, KijiCon had become the first Animal Jam YouTuber since the 2010s to reach 100,000 subscribers, and by 2030, KijiCon would be asked, alongside creators of old such as Wisteria Moon, to participate in Animal Jam's first in-person VidCon event in nearly 2 decades. As far as anyone knew, KijiCon was better than he had ever been. Having moved out on his own years ago, living with his fiancée and doing YouTube work alongside his job as a high school art teacher at Ringstone High School in Southeast Oregon, no one could have seen what lay on the horizon.
On September 21st, 2031, WildWorks announced a partnership with Universal Illumination, asking KijiCon and a handful of other relevant creators at the time to play supporting roles in their first feature film, Animal Jam: The Search for Mira, starring James Corden, Awkwafina, and Chris Pratt. The production of the film left the involved creators uploading a bit less frequently. In return for some behind-the-scenes footage and information, this pushed several creators to rise alongside KijiCon to the hundreds of thousands subscriber mark. But as production continued, KijiCon's upload schedule became much less frequent than the others, and on November 10th, KijiCon would host his last livestream, after which he would provide a few answers as to his personal life, and would sporadically upload commentary videos every couple of weeks. According to FriendSoup Members, KijiCon had withdrawn behind the scenes as well, and seemed to be distancing himself from the group, until on January 3rd of the following year, he would leave FriendSoup entirely without warning. KijiCon would upload his final video mere weeks later on January the 27th, at which point his expecting audience was met with radio silence. The internet wouldn't hear anything from KijiCon until 2034, when on May 15th, Animal Jam: The Search for Mira would premiere in theaters. KijiCon would make a few Instagram posts and one YouTube upload promoting the movie, but others involved in the project would note that the footage used in said videos were taken during the movie's production in 2032. KijiCon did feature in the movie itself, in the supporting role of Archie, playing as his otter avatar, working in the city of Jam Central as a map salesman to sell maps for a hit movie actress Awkwafina.
But, unfortunately for KijiCon fans, this would be the last content we would ever receive from him. As of today, July 10th, 2036, KijiCon has been entirely absent from the internet, his channels and platforms sitting dormant for years, the last signs of his interest in the game being the promotional art shared for the movie back in 2034. As life tends to, it moved on without him. Animal Jam has only continued to grow since then, and both new and old creators have come to fill the hole KijiCon left behind, leading many fans simply moving on and forgetting him, as many other YouTubers have been forgotten before him. For many, KijiCon remains a distant nostalgic memory, an abandoned channel some may look back on fondly when missing their childhoods. But to the Animal Jam community at large, KijiCon will be remembered as the icon who brought Animal Jam to what it is today. Thank you all for watching! I hope this video could bring you all a bit of nostalgia from your past as Animal Jam players. Let me know down in the comments if you remember watching KijiCon when you were younger, and let me know what you think he's doing now. I would love to hear all your replies. Have a great evening, and thanks for watching! Adios!
I walk in. Don't stop, make it pop. DJ gonna speak this up tonight. I'ma fight till we see the sun. La 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 la. Elmo's world in the new year. Animal Jam began to push their boundaries.
KijiCon. My foot fell asleep. How dare you make me read a complicated script, Sam? How dare you? On February 15th, KijiCon would upload a video by the title The Disturbing Underbelly of Animal Jam. Roar, I'm a sheep. Why are you relying on me, of all otters on the internet, to make a cinematic cliche of jokes of an audio? I am not capable of this.
Start from the top. Sam, I'm gonna kill you. According to KijiCon, this took him by surprise and he was initially overwhelmed by all this Annie! There's someone in the hallway. Go back. Go back. Come on. Okay, my bad. You're gonna be a death of me, Sam. You're gonna be a death of me. I got braces too, this is hard.